Hello, just want to say a quick note before the episode starts. Thank you very much to everyone that listened to the last episode and enjoyed it or hated it. I don't know, up to you. I did have some feedback that people had listened about this with Lola about the stuff with the sports bras and thought it was really interesting, but didn't know how to sort of start that conversation with athletes that they worked with. I would use the podcast as an educational tool. I would set it as homework or whatever, be like, have a listen to this. And then that way, me and Lola can have a conversation for you, basically. And it doesn't put you in a weird position. I know that some of the languages may be questionable, but the message is very good. Also, little note that in this week's episode, there are a few audio problems. So I'm really sorry about that, but I never said I was perfect. So enjoy. Welcome to your weekly reminder, Only Dead Fish Go With The Flow. Today we have special guest, Harriet Taylor. Harriet is a high performance sports coach. She is a female coach, which is basically the same as a male coach, but she has a vagina.
Yeah, that is true.
Snaps for Harriet.
Snaps for Harriet's vagina. That's
Anyway,
fair enough.
tell us about your coaching. When did you start? How did you start? Who did you start with? How's it going?
Started started back in like 2017, I think. I did a gap year in Australia. I coached there, and then I went to uni in Oxford Brookes, not Oxford. I feel like I need to specify that often. And I just did like some college coaching, and I feel like I really started to get the idea that I quite liked doing it then, I think, just trying to help a bunch of sort of, uni kids learn how to row was quite fun. And it was alongside when I was rowing at Brookes. And then when I left rowing at Brookes, I was invited back to coach for a year and only did a year. And then basically moved on to coach at Leander, and I've been at Leander for 2 years now. So that's why it all sort of started. So I've been involved in coaching probably like 7, 8 years.
Can you explain your job role, Harriet?
Yeah, so I currently work at a high performance rowing team, and I'm sort of the assistant to the assistant, which is, but then also at the same time, sort of just on the same level. We say we work together, which is very nice. I basically run the club women's side of things. So those who don't know rowing, basically you've got like sort of a high performance group who are sort of going off to trials and doing all the things with GB and things and like senior level things. And then you've got the club women who are maybe under 23s or not trialing, who are just rowing, who want to do well and just want to train and hopefully win the event like the Wargrave Challenge Cup, for example, which is the Henley Royal Women's Club events. So
Like the development group.
yeah, the development group, pretty much.
They are next year's sports stars.
Yes,
in
they
the
are.
making.
They are next year's. They are next year's sports stars in the making. They watch this space.
Watch this space. Could you explain an ick or a bugbear that you have in this job?
I've got a bugbear, but
I've got a list.
It's quite a funny story. I know other female coaches, especially in the rowing world, have had this as well. So at Henley Royal, when you're a coach, you have the opportunity to go and sit on the launch, which is the boat that follows the race. And anyway, I had a spare ticket. So one of the girls in the boat at the time's dad was like, "Oh, would you mind if I possibly came along?" And I said, "Oh yeah, of course. Here's your ticket. Let's go." Anyway, we walked over to the launch. You sit on the launch with the coaches of the crew that you're racing, and they came over and they straight away went and shook the dad's hand. And then they looked at me as if to be like, "Hello." Anyway, they didn't shake my hand. And then they started talking to the dad and was like, "Oh, so you're the coach?" And he was like, "Oh, hang on a minute. No, I'm not. She's the coach." And this guy's face, oh my gosh, his arsehole protruded so quickly into him. But even then, he still didn't shake my hand. And then my crew, kudos to me, absolutely whoops them, bless them. And even then he was a bit like, yeah, thank you.
As a bit of a change of trousers kind of moment.
Yeah, a little bit.
For him. We were saying before we sort of switched the mics on, I'd had something similar where I'd gone on the launch to watch the juniors race, and there's a lovely lady on the launch, and she'd come over from America, and I'd coached the kids all year, well, past 3 years. And she was like, "Which one's your sister?" Or even worse, I can't remember if it was sister, or "Which one's your daughter?" I was like, I am not old enough to have an 18-year-old daughter. Please leave me alone.
I think it was your daughter, because then you replied with all of them.
All of them. They're all my daughters.
Yeah, gosh, I know it is bad, and I did feel bad for this guy, because I actually think he realised that he had massively screwed up, and that was okay, and I wasn't like, oh, what the hell. But I did, it did make me think, babes, 2025, come on now. Just shake everyone's hand. Let's just be on the safe side.
I am dressed like a coach. I've come on board with a clipboard and a stopwatch,
stopwatch.
and I am dressed as the coach.
Yeah, I was dressed as a coach, and the dad I was with was in full blazer and chinos, so was definitely not getting his hands dirty. Yeah,
it's a shame. What are we dying on the hill about then this week?
Well, we've had a lot of discussion about dying on the hill about things, and leading into from the ick is just having equality for female coaches, to be honest, and for people to start looking at them as on the same level as male coaches, but also maybe even just equality for coaches who are just good at doing their job. A lot of the time, female coaches are the ones that do get the rap from that. So that's where it's, that's why I'm saying equality for female coaches, but just people who are good at getting the job done and good at their job role, and take the chances on them and allow them to be in the positions. So that's what we're
dying on the hill about. So I did a little bit of research on this.
Oh yes, I love science.
I wouldn't call it science.
Yeah, science.
I say research. This is some of the stuff that I could find just by typing in female coaches into Google, which it wasn't that scientific, but I did find a lot of stuff. So the first thing that I found from the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, was in Tokyo, only 13% of the coaches were women. Which is a low bar.
That is a low bar.
And then in Paris, we managed to scrape that up to about 20%. And that's like across all different countries. That's not just like the UK's contribution. But the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, have said that they're really committed to making this 50-50 in the future. So there's been a big shift in the national governing bodies, like trying to get more women into these top roles. There's UK sport, which is like a sort of an umbrella over it all, and then individuals like sporting national governing bodies. They're trying to get more women into these roles. But what I think is really interesting, having been someone who's sort of like been pushed into a mentoring relationship, is the conversations that are actually happening on the ground. So the umbrella of these national governing bodies being like, we want to push this, and then the people that are actually employing us as female coaches, we're getting comments like, you're just sort of doing it to meet the quota, or she's only got the job because she's a woman, and we've got to meet this 50-50 marker, or as bad as she's a bitch and she's on her period.
Oh yeah, like, oh, is she grumpy because she's on her period? No, I'm grumpy because I'm grumpy. And that's allowed.
That is allowed. I was put on to a situation with a mentor. Shout out, he was absolutely lovely, the mentor, and it was all paid for by UK Sport, which was absolutely fantastic. However, 6 months into this year mentorship, I ended this. I'm trying to explain this.
No. Really? I get you. It just makes me giggle, because it's just like, why is it embarrassing? And it's like, it's literally because like you're. Yeah.
I ended the like that setup. So that was set up by the national governing body. I felt like it got to a point where it was embarrassing for the mentor to come down for me, because my boss would put me in a stupid situation
Yeah.
that didn't need to happen, and he would derail the plans that I had for the session for the mentor to watch. And every time I would like cope with it and I would manage it. But then we would be, you know, in the middle of the session and the mentor would be like, does that happen to you often?
You're like, yeah.
And I'd be like, well, no, it doesn't. But, and then he'd be like, it does, doesn't it? And it just got more and more, it just got more and more embarrassing. And then I was like, standing up for my boss, being like, oh no, he's really good and he does this and he is actually a real advocate for like female coaches and blah blah blah. But you know, fast forward, I left that job.
Yeah, I mean, I remember meeting him, and I remember him writing your report, and him giving it to your boss, and your boss was like, "Well, I won't read it."
Yeah, he was like, oh, well, I won't read it. He's like, this is how Sophia operates best in like, it was like a personality test
Yeah.
type thing. It was like, oh, this is how like she would respond really well in a working environment.
Yeah.
And my boss was like, great, stick it in the bin.
Put it in my PO box.
Yeah. And anyway, I thought I'd sort of touch on that very briefly because I was so embarrassed about how he was behaving around this mentor that I actually shot myself in the foot in terms of getting rid of that mentorship that was being paid for by a national governing body.
Yeah. I also think, like, okay, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I do think when male coaches talk about other male coaches and they're like, oh, he's so brilliant. He talks about their achievements. He talks about like, oh, he did this with the Olympic 8. He did this with the on 23-4. He did this with whatever. You know, just you took this school from 0 to 100. But sometimes when they talk about women coaches, they're like, she's okay, but
Yeah.
or oh, she's all right, but and I do think that it's very easy to rip young female coaches apart, and then people remember their mistakes a little bit more. And then you think, and then there's some male coaches out there that you think, hang on a minute, let's just rewind to 4 years ago. Let's remember when they did that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's very quick to people very quick, and also sometimes ripped apart by other female coaches as well. And it's just, I think, you know, maybe they're seen as a slightly easier target, which is really crap because I think, you know, I'm a big believer in women supporting women. And I think, you know, we should all be building each other up. But yeah, I think sometimes it can be very easy to rip female coaches down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have to say, in my job role and as my assistant to the assistant, the person who's above me, basically, my mentor, if you will, is actually really good with being like, it's okay, like it's all going to be fine, and always, you know, so helpful. But I think just being a woman yourself, like you do really worry that you're like, oh crap, like, you know, and then you just think, oh no, like that's going to make me look really bad. And then I think you're constantly worried about your reputation because you haven't built your reputation, or like you haven't had the opportunity to build your reputation.
Or there's not many people before you
Yeah.
who have got a really good reputation, but they've also made like a few mistakes along the way. There's not, I think, you know, we were saying the other day that there's not that many coaches that have sort of been in the game for like 50 years or something like that. And you're like, oh, do you remember her?
Yeah.
She was this. And when she was starting out, she made like some iconic, silly mistake that was completely harmless. And now look at her, she's like this thing. There's not very many of those role models. I also, in my little quick Google, and a lot of this was actually peer reviewed. The IOC UK Sport sort of numbers, obviously they came straight from their website. So if they haven't peer reviewed it, then it's up to them. But there's a lot of talk about basically how there's lots of female assistant coaches. And traditionally, you would sort of be an assistant coach and then you'd be a first team coach, and then you'd be a head coach, and then you'd be a program, like that would be the natural progression.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of female assistant coaches out there, and there isn't that progression.
Well, no, and also I would say because that progression probably is like a 10-year, 15-year progression. And I think women naturally don't have 10 to 15 years to potentially progress their career if they want to do things like have a family. You know, a lot of the time, these assistant coach roles aren't really that well set up for women wanting to go on like maternity leave and have a family and things like that. And
no, but I mean, typically the progression is like assistant, first team, head coach, and what the studies were sort of showing is they're not actually using that feeder system to sort of progress female coaches.
Oh, right, yeah.
Is what the information was actually saying.
Yeah, yeah.
I completely agree that there are on all of those beds, but I'll come back to that.
Yeah, they're sort of you be an assistant for a year, and then next year, oh, you can be an assistant again,
Yeah.
and then next year, oh, you can just be an assistant again.
Yeah.
Or okay, this head coach role's come in. Oh, but we're actually just gonna host interviews.
Yeah, we're going to host interviews. I
And
know
we're not
you've
gonna
I know
hire
you've
you.
been with us for 7 years and you've showed like excellent
Yeah.
this, that, and the rest. But
And
so if we circle back
yeah.
to the maternity
Oh,
side
yes.
of things. So we were recently on a call, and one of the comments was women don't have the experience to be a good coach until they are of childbearing age, at which point they then go off to go and have children.
And that's why there is not more female coaches.
And that's why there aren't more female coaches in this role.
Like, explain to me, what is childbearing age? Because I would suggest that I was childbearing age.
I think childbearing age is legally 18.
Yeah, brilliant. So
But I think
I'm 10 years past that now.
But I think what was being referred to was sort of late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
I have beef with that.
Yeah, so do I.
Well, I was 28 on this call. I still am now. I actually still am.
She's actually getting younger.
I am actually. I'm just going down.
Downhill.
So,
Rock bottom.
so anyway, I'm 28 and I know Billy down the road is 26, 25. And he's being sort of selected for these roles with our national team.
Yeah.
Is he of childbearing age if he's younger than me? Or would he have had that conversation? Would anyone have turned around and been like, I'm really sorry, you're probably not going to have enough experience until you're of childbearing age. And then by that point, you're probably going to go on maternity leave and we're just going to lose you. The system requires you to be so present and current. It's a really difficult balance. Like, unless you're single and your only commitment is to your work, which is absolutely fine, you basically, everyone needs a wife. Like, everyone needs a wife to stay at home and look after them. I mean, I'd love a wife to, stay at home and look after me, but the role of head coach, it requires there to be somebody at home, if you have a family, to look after everything. So stay-at-home husband or stay-at-home wife, it's not a straightforward balance at all. The role of head coach is designed for somebody who cannot do who can do non-traditional hours.
Yeah.
They can do extensive travel, and it either basically you are married to your work or you're a singleton.
Yeah.
So it is set up for a guy to do.
Yeah.
Because if you take into account, like, if you did want to start a family, you'd either have to have somebody that was willing to sort of stay at home and be that massive support system, or you would have to be a singleton. I've got a little section here from something that was written in 1977. So about over 40 years ago, which I find quite sad. So let me know if you feel that you've experienced any of these sort of moments in your coaching career. So female coaches often experience feelings of alienation, feeling very highly visible, subject to scrutiny, having to overperform to gain credibility, pressure to conform to organisational norms, and wage inequities.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Gosh. Yeah, like definitely. I mean, um, I've spoken a little bit about previous job roles. I definitely think I've felt better about those things in more recent job roles. But yeah, 100%. And there's also still elements of that in my job role now, and and it is very hard. But I mean, I definitely think the I do feel very visible, and I do feel sometimes can feel quite alienated. And I think sometimes being the only female can be extremely alienating.
Mm.
And that's that. Also, maybe the only even young female as well,
Yeah.
under the age of 30, is also another one potentially.
Because one of the other comments that I sort of found was, and I know that I've felt this as well, is female head coaches often feel excluded from their male colleagues, often leaving women outside of important social networking groups. So, say the training session's finished and you're on like a training camp,
Yeah.
and all the blokes are like, let's go for a beer. And you're like, yeah, I'll go for a beer. And then you like go for a beer and you're like, okay, now what? Like I'm
Yeah.
the only one here. I'm the only woman here in this sort of setup,
Yeah.
and the conversation is now no longer about rowing, and it's something that I don't relate to anymore.
Yeah, I felt very unrequired to speak in situations before. Very my input is less than required.
Mm.
And I don't always like being in situations like that, because I feel like sometimes those situations are almost like not worth my time, but like, you know what I mean? Like, when you go for like drinks with your friends and you're like sat there, giggling away, and you're like, oh yeah, this is funny, and everyone's having an input, and everyone's having a good time. And I have felt in certain situations very unrequired to speak, and sometimes even conversations about rowing, but about rowing in whatever
The good old
the,
days.
the good old days. And I've just been like, well, I wasn't present, so okay. And like, I don't know who these people are, but okay, great. And yeah, so I definitely I feel like sometimes that is it's definitely about striking a fine balance with that. And don't get me wrong, like I'm not no, and I definitely have an a awareness of the fact that often in coaching situations, a lot of them are all friends. They've been friends for years and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I don't expect them all to like pander to the fact that I'm just like tagging along. But sometimes can be a little bit gut wrenching.
But you're not just tagging along. Like that is a networking opportunity.
Yeah, that's true.
And that feeling of tagging along is wrong, because those like individuals that you're going to go meet and like have a beer with, those are potential future employers or like future
Yeah.
colleagues that you could work with. And that feeling of being alienated in that social setting where like the athletes are away asleep in bed doing whatever the fuck they're doing, or maybe they're getting with each other, I don't know, probably that one. And like this time when you've gone with other coaches to have that like downtime, that social moment, like that is when, you know, things like, oh, this is changing in my club, we're looking for this sort of position, and that's when those bits are discussed. And to
Yeah,
feel,
that's true, when everyone's a bit more relaxed and
yeah, and to
things.
feel
Yeah.
like alienated or like you're not sort of required in that setting, that is sort of putting a barrier into your own like networking potential.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have to say the other one along with that, maybe going back to the time that when I was on the launch and they didn't shake my hand and stuff. I've been in certain social situations before, and there've been some random people turn up to like these beers in the square or something, and and I've and not they haven't introduced themselves to me, or I've been introduced to them, or I haven't really been in a position where I can be like, oh hi, I'm Harriet, by the way, kind of thing. And again, that's really hard because at the end of the day, like we're trying to build our network. Yeah, we're trying to build in-person links in constantly.
Yeah.
And I can't turn around and be like, oh yeah, I know that person. Like, well, actually, I don't know that person because I've actually never really formally been introduced to them. They've just sort of sat across from me having a beer. Probably my one piece of advice to male coaches who do want to help this situation and do want to help this position of female coaches, introduce them to everyone and everything, make them feel extremely present, make them feel like, when you go up to the people and be like, oh hi mate, how are you, this is Harriet, I work with her. And I definitely think
she's not the cleaner, she's one of the coaches.
She's the cleaner. No, I'm actually not. And you know what, maybe I will even put a name out there, but Ricky,
No,
whoever knows
stop it.
Ricky,
Oh, okay.
it's okay. It's only Ricky. Ricky,
And that's a nickname. So
that's a nickname. Who I work with, who came and volunteered a little bit with me last year. He is excellent at introducing you to everyone and everything. And he honestly, so and so, random blokes would walk into the bar of wherever, and he'd be like, "Oh, come meet my friend." He introduced me to Eric Murray. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And he was like, yeah, me and Eric, we're going to Magoo's later. Like, he didn't really have to make me feel involved, but he always did, which I thought was, actually really good. And he wasn't even a coach, he was just a volunteer.
Shout out to Ricky. Because
Ricky.
Bless him. Probably like the antichrist of feminism, but also like the one that's doing the best job.
But the absolute ally all at once.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
From society's perspective.
Oh, very good.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, I like that. From society's perspective, this role is, or a coaching role is a male dominated role, or it's what you would expect a man to be in. Therefore, I often found as a coach that I was trying to sort of not present masculine, that's not really what I meant, but like to take on like everything and be able to sort of do like masculine behaviors. I wanted to be able to like lift everything. I wanted to be able to like carry everything, like anything my male colleague could do within like my physical limitations. I wanted to be able to do like, and so then you're balancing these like kind of learned behaviors with the fact that you are feminine or your femininity. And I don't know if this is actually going to make it because I'm not explaining it very well, but
no, I get what you mean. It's the balance between being in a very male dominated environment and in a male dominated sport, and also in a situation where actually probably in the grand scheme of things it probably is easier to be as strong as a man, but at the same time still not wanting to lose your feminism and your the idea that you like to sometimes come into work not wearing a pair of blue cargo shorts and a ripped t-shirt
that I've been wearing all week.
Yeah, all week, all year, in fact.
Because I think, well, I'm not sure if this is a really good example or not, but I think this is a really good example of the standards. So I was on a camp in Nottingham, and it was one of the GB junior trial situations, and there was a handful of female coaches there.
Yeah.
But it was predominantly male.
Yeah. Shout out to the juniors because they're actually quite good at getting female coaches involved.
Yeah, I think because women dealing with children is more acceptable.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Because babysitting.
Well, at some ages, it is glorified babysitting.
It's making sure they just don't fall down the weir.
It is glorified babysitting or like herding cats. And Do you know what? That is fine because they're supposed to be having like this wonderful experience and they're supposed to be like getting into the sport. But like the older people get and the more serious it gets, the more it's like actually you as a caregiver
Yeah.
are not needed in this situation.
Yeah, I'll take it from here.
I'll take it from here. They turn 18, it's like, I'll take it from here. Anyway, so I was at this camp and there's a handful of female coaches there. Shout out. They were absolutely legends and they were so lovely to be with. But there was a situation where we're in a van and we're all timing different boats individually. And this one female coach who her quad that season was like absolutely on fire. She was clearly doing a fantastic job with her juniors, and like quite a few of them got selected to then go on and do
Yeah.
like GB junior things. She put herself right at the back of the bus just to do the scribing, just to do the handwriting bit because she
Yeah.
was like, oh, I can't. If I got the stopwatch wrong, I just couldn't deal with the fact that I
Yeah.
got it wrong. Like, I'd
Yeah.
rather just put myself in this position because I've got nice handwriting. And
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, babe, you have lovely handwriting, but you're also doing clearly a fantastic job. Like, we're
Yeah.
watching your kids like do a brilliant
Absolutely
job,
nail it.
and you don't need to put yourself in that position. Like, all year you use a stopwatch.
Yeah.
Like, and as it was, you know, one of the blokes fucked up the stopwatch as we were sort of doing this run, and he was like, oh well,
Oh.
and it was fine, and it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh, don't. Like, it made me sad because I was like, we're all looking at how amazing the work is that you've done,
Yeah.
but you still don't feel like you can put yourself in like this minor role of using the
Yeah.
stopwatch.
No, no, I get it. Yeah, like that is so sick. Because I remember like it was at trials in like December or something. My boss, his wife had a baby. Anyway, so he couldn't come to trials. Anyway, so they were like, I hadn't been given a drop role, classic. They were like, it's okay, Harriet, you can do it. And he was like lead timer at the start line. And I thought, oh shit, I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. And I remember like bless my colleague,
My right hand man.
my right hand man. He was like giving me this pep talk beforehand. He was like, "It's all right, you'll be fine. You can do it. You can do it." And I was like, "I really don't want to." And he was like, but he always does this. He always does it even when I'm driving the trailer. He'll like give me a pep talk beforehand. Anyway, so I was like, "Oh gosh, oh gosh." Anyway, so I got up there, and I literally remember one of the other coaches was basically being like, "Show me stop." So I click stop. Show me go. So I click go. Show me split. I click split. He was like, right, good. And I was like, right,
Come on.
come on now. I'm nervous, but I'm not useless.
Yeah.
I was like, give me 2 or 3 runs and I'll get right into it.
Just remind us how many years of experience you have at this point.
Yeah, literally. I have
8 years.
8 years. Yeah, probably 8 years. Yeah. 8 years. And I was like, right, I'm not that stupid, but fine. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so and we did it and it was fine. And you know what? I absolutely like, if I do say so myself, I absolutely nailed the timing. I mean, you know, probably not a hard plug, but you know, it was made out to be as if I was doing brain surgery, but it was fine. And I was actually really like, it was so sad that it's like such a minor thing. When I came away from it, I was like really pressed myself. I was like, you know what? They might go away and be like, you know, that coach there, she's actually not useless.
She's really good at pressing the on button.
Yeah, she's great at the buttons. Let her work the buttons in future.
Oh.
I've actually never been allowed to work the buttons in future.
Apart from every day at work.
Oh, other than every day at work.
Yeah, other than
Yeah,
every
never
day
on the world stage.
Never on the world stage again. Oh, God. Okay. I think I'm just pissing myself off with this conversation.
No, it's hard, isn't it?
Oh, it's really hard. It's really shit. Okay, we'll wrap this up. How are we, or how should we be making space for female coaches? I've got a few pointers. Pay them properly.
Yeah.
It'd be a really good start.
Yeah.
same-sex mentors is something that I don't think is essential, but when I was looking online for my research,
Oh, yes.
78% of female coaches felt that if they had a female role model or a female mentor, then progression within their job role would seem more achievable or, easier. So having like that female mentor come in and be like, you're doing the right thing. Or I was talking to Matt about this and I was like, there is nothing less relatable than having a male mentor or a male coaching role model. And they're like, oh yeah, I've been there.
You're like,
have you?
oh, okay.
Have you been there? Like, have you been in those beers, like that social networking situation,
and felt like
felt completely like you don't have you're drinking a beer and you're doing these masculine traits and you're making all the jokes, but none of them are hitting. Like, have you been there?
Yeah, literally. Can you mention, what, you can all mention your cocks in the circle. As soon as I say the word vagina, you will absolutely wrench.
As soon as I say the word minge, that's it.
Minge. I love the word minge.
And
yeah,
so
literally.
Same-sex mentors or like female coaching role models or any of that sort of thing, it's difficult to do because it's a time thing.
Yeah. I definitely think yes, 100%. And I also think mainly probably for the navigating of like the emotional side of things is so nice to have a female mentor presence. I wasn't going to do it because I was a bit like, oh, I feel okay in my job role. Like I feel like I've got really good like coaching mentors around me, but which I do. But I went for a coffee with another female coach, and we actually spoke so much about the identity of being a female in a coaching environment and navigating the emotions of that and sometimes feeling the isolation and feeling not just necessarily in my current job role, but also things in like when you're going for things on like the senior team or like, under 23s and working with the GB team is something that like, I actually was like, wow, I'm actually not alone in this. Like she feels the same or she's experienced similar things and I felt that was really interesting as well. So, to actually help navigate like the kind of the side of things that is probably very only specific to females is really nice to have someone who has either been through it or is going through it to chat through it with.
Yeah, that was going to be my next point is A, networking and B, staying in contact.
Yeah.
Because we were very lucky because we worked together for a bit. So
we did.
We worked together for a bit. So they
hated it.
They did hate it, but we were able to, like, it was a heavily female environment.
It actually was, wasn't it?
And we got a lot of shit done.
We did. There was how many? There was three females to 3 males.
Yeah, it was a 50-50 split.
That's true actually.
It was a 50-50 split, but we were all assistant coaches.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it was equal in terms of there was 50 women, 50 women,
50 women,
50
men.
women. It was equal in terms of there are 3 women working there and there are 3 men working there, but the power dynamic was not equal.
No.
Was not equal. So, and then that leads on to my final sort of thing about are we making space for female coaches, is if we're going to say female coaches don't have enough experience until they're of childbearing age, at which point they go and have children, that's why we lose so many female coaches.
No.
A, no, I don't believe that that's completely true. And B, if you as a national governing body believe that is the case, why is there not better access to childcare?
Yeah. I think that on that topic of are we making space for female coaches, I think a lot of the male coaches who are in the powerful positions need to think about their own journey, need to think about what barriers they had, what things were overcome but via other coaches. What things were helped out? What barriers didn't they have? And I know maybe that's a sign of the times as well, where in the sense that, okay, we actually are in a massive cost of living crisis and all things like that. But realistically, what barriers did they have? And because I think personally for me, some of the hoops I've had to jump through to actually keep me in coaching and keep my job role going, not just necessarily like in coaching, but, you know, to be able to like fund the idea of doing it. And
well, that's what I was going to bring up with equal pay is, or pay them properly, is your hoop jumping on that front.
Yeah, like it's you know, this is good hardship, like, you know, this is really testing, you know, this is showing that I really want to do it and stuff, but who am I showing to I really want to do it other than myself? Like, no one else is recognizing these hoops I'm jumping through other than you, because I moan to you about it all the time. But like, you know, but the thing is like, what I'm scared about is that, you know what, if you push women hard enough and they have to jump through fucking rings of fire over and over again, eventually they just go, fuck it, I can't be bothered. And that's where I also think we're losing female coaches, because they're like, whatever, doesn't matter, like, I know my self-worth, I'm currently don't feel like my self-worth is being that taken care of, or I actually don't feel like I'm being valued as much as I think maybe I should be being valued. And that's where a lot of coaches are like, whatever,
yeah,
never mind, on to the next. And I think that's where we're losing female coaches, because a lot of coaches want to be like, this is, you know, this is your test, this is where you earn your space and you earn your, you know,
your stripes.
Oh yeah, you earn your stripes or whatever. But unfortunately, it's yeah, it is. I completely understand you've got to put in a shift for it, but have they had to put in as much of a shift? Like, not, I mean, yeah, obviously some of them, absolutely, but not all of them necessarily. And I think sometimes when you really, really want to help female coaches, and I do really feel like I have in the last 2 years of my life been really helped in certain elements and certain, like, being pushed, you know, to be this like figure, this female figure on the ground. But I do think sometimes a lot of male coaches do need to check in with themselves and be like, right, what did I have to do to get to myself to this position? Like, what hardship did I have to face? Did I have to do a lot of volunteer work and things like that?
Or was it paid for by the team that I already worked for?
Yeah. And also, is there any way that, you know, like GB or, you know, the national body could actually start supporting their coaches?
Yeah. And
I mean, on that topic as well, like, I really think, like, the doing those kind of things where you learn about your colleagues and the best way they operate is actually really useful. And the problem is like, I think there's so many like rowing teams or whatever, like, they're like, oh, it's so woke now, isn't it? So woke. Why do you have to know about feelings? It's so woke. And you're like, well, it's not woke in the sense, I just want to know how my colleagues operate and what's the best way, and you know, because then from that you learn about how is best to approach things with them, and how to talk to each other, and how to, like, respect each other, and what their, you know, what their, like, their trigger points are, and what they deal with really well and what they don't deal with really well. And then from there, realistically, you can have a better environment because you actually understand so much more about the person
and how they're going to work. It's also really important to understand if I plant this idea with you, and
give it 3 weeks,
and then 48 hours later make it seem like your idea, then I need to know that's going to work or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Because let's be honest, you know, sometimes you got to get a leg up where you can.
Yeah, that is true. No, I do. I really I really think doing, like, the coaching development things actually is really good. And I know it's a bit of a ball ache, and I know it takes away from the idea of, like, oh, let's just go out and do the bloody rowing. This isn't to do with the bloody rowing. And it's like, well, yeah, it's not, but it is also really good for, like, a work work environment. And in big companies, this is what they do because it's the best way to learn about each other. But also, they probably, none of them probably know that because they've all just coached rowing their whole lives. So it's like, actually, the rowing world is a very, very, very like strange bubble,
It's a
which,
dinosaur.
yeah, and I think it could probably take some ideas from big major companies where they go and maybe do some team building exercises. They go and maybe do some, like, they sit there and they fill out a survey and it tells them if they're a red personality or a blue personality or a green personality. Like, I really believe in that's a good thing. And actually, like I was talking about earlier, the woman who I went for a coffee with to talk about female coaching, she said that when she worked in coaching, because she's also quit coaching. Sorry, my voice. When she worked in coaching, and she's also quit now because she eventually got very pissed off. That they did that as a group, and apparently it was absolutely fantastic, and it really helped them because they all and actually she worked in a considerably younger coaching team than most other rowing teams, which is probably why it worked so well because there was no one going, oh, she's so woke.
Back in my
day, we all just punched each other in the face and got on with it.
I wish we were joking.
I wish we were joking as well. But she said it worked really, really well, and they all learned how to work with each other and how to like navigate each other's feelings and emotions, which I really like, because I think everyone actually does have a bugbear on certain things. Everyone does have feelings, emotions on certain things. It's just so much easier to know, okay, I'm not going to do that because I know that's going to upset them. Or if I need to ask them this, I'm going to do it over, like you say, over a 48-hour period. Or if I do need to talk to them about this, we'll do it in a very calm and in way. And it's just learning about how to navigate each other.
Yeah. We did a personality test at my old job.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Another one. And I thought the results, this is like a good example of like feeling like you need to like overachieve in order to get credibility.
Oh yeah.
So even on this personality test, I basically filled it out that I was more interested in data than I am, because I'm dyslexic. Like, I'm actually not that interested in data. I am interested in like, well, no, actually, do you know what? Fuck it. I'm not that interested in data. Like, I'm not. Shoot me. But I filled it out like I am so, like, numbers are my
numbers.
jam. Like, because I thought they were going to like read out the results. And I was like, I need to look like I really want to be in this job because I value like numbers and data. I don't want to be in that job because I value numbers and data. I want to be in that job because I want to build up like junior women, junior men to be confident and have like good tools around the rest of their life. Like, I want them to be successful at, this sport that they're putting hours and hours and hours and hours into. But actually, I want them to be, have good life skills moving forward. And I want to be able to support them through, their GCSEs and their A levels. And do you know what? Degrees, spans, like numbers, like I can do them, but I made out on this personality test like I am obsessed.
You are
with
the
numbers.
Stephen Hawkins
of I carry 5 rulers wherever I go, and
up my arse.
And I've got a spreadsheet for every day of the week, and it's just not true. And I only did it because I thought that everyone was going to read it out, and I didn't want them to think that,
you just I just want to be having fun, and
I didn't want them to think I was like some dumb airy fairy. I was like, I have got to make out that I love numbers.
Yeah. No, I completely understand.
With all that said, is there any advice that you would give to somebody who's trying to support, or somebody who's sort of going through it? What would you say to them?
Listen to what they're saying, because they're not just like moaning for the sake of moaning. They are making very valid points. And it's like, make the change, be that person that, and as famously, I think you once said, be the poo that won't flush.
Oh yeah, be the shit that won't flush.
Yeah, literally. And
that's definitely a quote from from a friend, but it is definitely something that has stuck with me. A phrase that's stuck with me throughout the years.
Yeah, yeah.
Be the
And
shit that won't flush.
absolutely. And be the person. And the thing is yeah, and people are scared of being the person that's constantly being like, no, do better. Do better. I don't like this. And I think as a woman, when you're constantly doing that, you feel like people, well, yeah, we all know people are like, oh God, she just moans so much. Oh, she just, she's an absolute like whistleblower. Oh, for God's sake,
Um,
she's the one who's being the problem. But yeah, be the problem, because you know what? If you are a problem, things are going to change.
well, it's the saying that nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah,
And sometimes you got to be a problem to get shit done.
100%.
It doesn't mean you can't be right or have an opinion that or an idea that might make something better in the long run. With that, all that sort of in mind, what's one moment or one sort of like something that somebody's shared that has like made you either keep going or
I think in my job role, the thing that keeps me going, and the thing that is remembering why you're doing it, remembering who you're doing it for. And you know what? I can go into work and I can have a disagreement with the people I work with, and I can be like, God, I'm crap at this, or like, oh, I fucked that up, or whatever. And then you walk out, and the girls are like, oh, morning. How are
mm,
you? Oh, it's good to see you. Do you have a nice weekend? Oh, how was things? How's things with you? Or like, oh, do you like my nails? Or, oh yeah, I did this weekend. Oh, you'd really enjoy this. And I think that moment you're like, oh, you know what? This is why I'm doing this. Like,
yeah, being that sort of pillar of support to a large group of people.
yeah, 100%. And just being that person that you sometimes the girls, if they're having like the worst day ever, or not even just the girls, just like the athletes, like, they're having the worst day ever, and they go, oh, that you come in, and I the one thing I quite like, I said, I don't like it when athletes cry, but one thing I do quite like being the person of, being when athletes do come to you and they've got a problem, they are quite upset, is I like I had an athlete come to me before women's eights heads, and was, was quite sad, and I was like, and I told a story about back when I was like in like first year at Brooks,
Mm.
and I was like, you know what, like it, and it was like I think we were going on camp, and I'd only like rode on the ergo the entire year, and I was like made a joke that I should de-rig my ergo to take it on camp or something stupid, and it made her laugh, and she was like, yeah, you know what, like I was like, you know what, just sometimes you just have to keep trudging through the shit.
Yeah,
and and yeah, the maybe the one quote I do like is definitely the one that your friend said, be the shit that won't flush,
the shit
because
that might flash.
yeah, because I think that is something that I think if you have a point and you feel deep and strongly about said point. Oh, and other quote I like, never let anyone devalue your anger.
That is your own quote.
Yeah, I know. But it's because in an argument once, I turned around and went, I had a point, I was saying my point, and I was really sticking by it. And someone was trying to play devil's advocate and try and argue against the point, and I said, do not devalue my anger. And you know what? I was like, you know what? Yeah, don't, because I'm angry and I'm allowed to be angry, and that's okay.
That's the thing though, is from like women's sport to men's sport, or however you want to put it, is often coaches will see tears or people will see tears and they'll associate it with
Weakness.
sadness or weakness,
Yeah.
weakness, sadness, whatever it is. But actually, it is just like an expression of passion. So
Yeah,
it could be
100%.
anger, it could be sadness, it could be happiness, it could be, it could be whatever.
Yeah.
And it is that's just somebody sort of like expressing yourself, and don't put a label on it or don't be put off by it necessarily unless you sort of like had a conversation with that person, been like, what is this about? What
Yeah.
like what are the I had a girl that I used to coach, shout out, she'll definitely, if she listens to this, she'll definitely know it's her. But I was trying to push her to like let loose a little bit more and just like like find we used to call it like the fuck it button, like the
Yeah,
red button,
yeah.
and just like find it and push the button and just like lose control and just like absolutely go for it.
Yeah.
And that sprint to the line sort of mentality. Uh, we'd had this sort of back and forth about trying to find that red line.
Mm.
And one day we were in training and she was in tears and I went over. I was like, What's wrong? Are you okay?" And
Yeah.
or whatever, like, tell me what's happening. And she was like, "You keep telling me to lose control, and respectfully, this is how I lose control." I was like, "That's okay. You let it out. Like,
Yeah.
just get it out there."
Yeah, like I I feel like definitely like women cry for all so many different. I mean, I cry all the time. I cry when I think I've screwed up. I think I cry when I've cried when I think I've done well. I
I think I
cry,
cry.
I cry. Honestly, like I cry when I think I feel passionate about something.
Yeah,
See, it is so bad, and it literally does just boil down to the fact that you're just passionate about something,
yeah,
and it's it's nothing there's something bad. And when sometimes when girls come into the office and they want to like have a chat and they end up having a little tear and things like that, and then they come away from it and they're like, I'm so sorry I cried. You're like, don't apologize for crying. Like, it just shows that you care. It just shows that
exactly.
you're passionate about it, and it's just a way of showing emotion. That and also men show emotion, they just get really angry and
Yeah.
stomp around.
I I I will happily out this coach for this. When I was a junior, when I was 16 to 18, we like living away from home and training. And he would call us in for these meetings, and it would be like, "You're not fast enough," or "You're too fat," or whatever it was. And if you cried, you were sent out until you stopped crying.
Jesus, that's so
I
bad.
know.
You
And it
know,
was like, so it was like you're crying because you've just been told like whatever,
yeah,
you know, you weren't allowed to cry. You just had to kind of like suck it up,
yeah,
or you get sent out until you finish crying, and then you could come back in and be like, "Yeah, I suppose you're right."
yeah. That's so bad. Because I don't know. Well, as an athlete, I feel like I don't know. I don't. There was actually there was probably like two times I like cried to my coach. I think one one was when I ripped out my nipple piercing. I had to because I was in so much pain. That was one, and two was when I I was like injured and was having all these MRIs, and I was just like in just like this very lost dark place, and I was like, and me and my boyfriend have just broken up. The coach at the time was like, I just don't know how to respond to you. Yeah, and I think to be honest, I think maybe I just needed like a pickup. I just needed a sabbatical at that point. But
I just needed a coffee and a day off
yeah, that's pretty much stripped the garden
and a
centre.
long nap.
Yeah, I did probably. Yeah, long nap, a takeaway, and a day off.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I definitely think crying is one of those things that just shouldn't be shied away from. Plus, everyone feels better after a good cry.
Oh, absolutely. A good was it meant to be?
Oh, a good meant to be.
Yeah,
Honestly, yeah, a
that's
good
what you
meant to
write out.
be. Some sad music.
Yeah. So on that topic, what is one thing your athletes are do like your top athletes, what is like one thing they're doing really well? Or what is one like key thing you think they're doing really well that other people could take away?
I I think I think they're doing really well at taking one step at a time, to be
Mm.
honest. And I think last year maybe a little bit, I mean, obviously we had quite a lot of disruption last year. Um and this year we spoke a lot about um how to manage yourselves, how to stay on top of things, how not, because I think especially with the girls that I work with, it's very easy for them to get very caught up in the, oh, we're doing this.
Long-term goal.
Yeah, yeah, and it all becomes very like tunnel vision to that one event when actually things come thick and fast all the time. They're being very good at the moment of taking one step at a time, of being like, okay, this is our focus for this moment in time. This is our focus for next week. We will get there when we get there. and then
Yeah.
we'll talk about that when we get there. You know, it's like this very big, constant sort of changing wheel of emotion. And I think they've been really good at taking a bit of a step back and being like, right, we're going to focus on this now, and then we're going to focus on that tomorrow. And I think that, and I think that mainly also comes from like the coaches being like, just trust the process, just keep trusting the process, and
Mm.
just sit in it, do the training, do the program, and just keep pushing on, and don't lose your heads. And I think that's what they're doing quite well at the moment, I'd
Or
say.
lose your head for an hour and then
Yeah.
let's screw it back on one step at a time, one foot in
Yeah.
front of the other,
Yeah.
trust the process.
Like it's a long season. It's a very emotion full season.
You've done it for like a fairly long time now. So, your favorite sporting moment in like this coaching journey so far?
Yeah, so see, this is the thing. When we recorded this before, it was a very organic response, but I am going to respond with the same response, but maybe.
I can be just as emotional about it.
But I feel like it's gonna be a bit more of like a bit more of a precise response. Yeah, no, I definitely think with coaching, it's very easy to say your number one experience, your number one sort of achievement, or whatever is winning something, or you know getting the crew to a certain point, or doing a certain time, or building a boat. But for me, I really found so I did the internship my first year, and then I was never expecting to be invited back for another year, and I was um to come back this year. So I was invited to come back this year, and I didn't really tell anyone. I kind of just I took a couple of people, but then I arrived back on the first day of school, 5th of September. Everyone's in
Everyone's
the
bright-eyed, bushy-tailed,
gym.
or running half an hour late because they forgot to set their alarm.
Yeah, exactly. It's all been a bit of a rude awakening to return back to training after a long summer. And I walked in the gym, and all the girls were like, "Oh my gosh, you're back! Like, this is the best." And and at that point, I kind of, and a lot of them were like, "We're so glad to have you back. You made like a really positive impact on our lives and things like that." And I think that was the moment I kind of realized that I I had had some form of positive impact on their lives and on their own career. And
Mm.
if I can take a small piece away from this, or if they can take a small piece away from this, it can be like, Harriet has had a positive impact in one way or another, whether I've said something in coaching, or I've complimented them on their tan or their nails. That's, still a positive impact.
It's all about like
Or
providing a
education,
broad
yeah.
education in sport. Um, as that is your best moment, we've obviously got to talk about whether or not you have a worst moment. Um, so what is your best fuck up, if you have any?
Oh, I have loads.
Um, and I've got some little pointers of how do you recover from this and staying calm, question mark. So I don't know if either of those are relevant, but
I the thing is I have had lots of fuck ups, like I have, definitely, but I it's hard because I don't feel like I've never really had much of an opportunity to sort of run my own program. I've always had to work sort of under other people and things like that. So I've always been very held in a position that is always not hard to fuck up, but it the
there's a lot of
yeah,
instruction.
there's a lot of instruction, and I whenever I've kind of made like silly mistakes and things like that, and like I don't know, what, 9 times out of 10 my silly mistakes are also due down to the fact that I maybe don't read my phone as much as I probably should do, and I don't read people's messages.
She is a cleansed health
Yeah,
goddess. She doesn't spend 8 hours a day on her
you
phone.
know what, if you sent me a message on TikTok, I'd reply to it, but that is where I spend most of my time.
Please send the telemetry via TikTok.
Yeah, please send any questions via TikTok. No, I'm actually I quite like switching off from my job, but I know that it's not always that easy. And when you're a coach, your job also is out of the workplace as well. So probably that is probably the grassroots of most of my fuck ups. But I definitely think if there is probably a takeaway piece of advice from any time I've ever really really screwed up, um, it is always been like, you know what? Sometimes you just have to go, oopsies. My bad. And I feel like you have to own it for one, and two, like you know what? Sometimes when things are your fuck up, just you can't blame it on other people. You just have to be like, oh dear. And we are all just human, so I think own it and just try not to do it again. And you are only human.
What is your favourite song that everyone's playing in the gym at the moment, or your favourite one that you're putting on at the moment, or
I'm going to give you free rein to take a guess on what song I love that comes on at the gym in the gym at the moment.
is it Good Puss?
No, it's a good puss.
Shut up, Cobra.
Has to be Pink Pony Club by Channel
Oh,
Road.
Pink Pony Club by Chapel. That is a good one. That is a good one. Anyway, I think we've had a lovely
I think we've
time.
probably recorded another whole podcast.
I think we fucking have. I think we've had an absolutely lovely time, and we're both now like kind of on edge.
We're just getting punched in the face.
We're kind of like on edge from doing that. But thank you so much, Harriet, for coming on.
No worries.
No worries.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to being fired from my job.
I'm not rattled at all.
Oh gosh.